Hello and welcome back, or welcome to the channel. Today I'm starting a new series, Miner's Corner, in which I intend to provide a rundown of new features, bug fixes and the like for Stanton's heavy industry crowd. If you're new to the game, you won't have to wait long for a free fly event with Invictus on the horizon. Just make sure that when you create an account you use a referral code. Mine's up on screen now, but as ever it doesn't have to be mine, just make sure you use somebody's for that extra cash. Also, if you're looking for people to hang out with, come and join us over at the Frontier community. The link to our Discord is down below in the video description. This month we're also giving away a MISC Expanse on the channel, so stick around to the end to hear more about that. But without further ado, it's Friday, so grab yourself a tea, a coffee, or if the time's right for you, maybe even a beer, and let's get cracking. So first and foremost on this list is updated guidance to scanning with some big changes in 3.17. You might have noticed that the range at which the rocks pop on your HUD is a lot shorter now. And I believe strongly in credit where credit's due, so big shout out to Sniping Jet, whose video the folks in my org linked me to during a recent event. Firstly, great technique. Secondly, I love names which make you sound like a PvPer, but you're actually a miner. So you want to start off now by being a bit higher up. Set your ping to 360 degrees, and then you'll get sort of the boxes appear. But rather than driving around or low flying looking for the clusters that we really want when we're mining on Lyria like this, you want to dial your ping in to like now 2 degrees, 5 degrees. And you'll see this little box appear, and that basically means that's one rock on its own. So line up again on the next one, ping it again with the narrow angle at 2 degrees, and that's another one on its own. And if you lose track of the boxes, if you run out of time, just widen your field of view to 360 degrees again, let out a ping, and move on to the next one. So let's narrow our ping down to the 2 degrees, line up on it, and there we go, we've got sort of multiple boxes ping here, and that's going to be a cluster. So let's just make our way there to just confirm that that's a cluster, and as we know on Lyria, clusters equal Quantanium. You might have to forgive my flying in this video. My host house is in a box because I'm moving house again, and I'm getting used to keyboard and mouse again, having just got used to sticks properly. But as we get closer, we get into range, and those boxes will pop up again. And as we get even closer in, sort of about the last 1,000 meters, there's the rocks, there's the cluster, and sure enough, it's Quantanium. So you can use this technique anywhere, sort of in the Aran Halo. It's going to be great to limit your searching to just find the bigger clusters, but you're still going to have to drive in on other locations to actually check out what the rocks are, whereas on Lyria it's always Quant. It will work in any ship, and it's good out to about 12 kilometers away. The further out you are though, the trickier it is to pinpoint that scan at 2 degrees. So consider getting a bit closer or widening the angle to 5 degrees and you should still get the returns. I know some people are going to be a bit annoyed by this, but honestly I think it's awesome. This makes scanning a real skill, and I hope over the course of the patch people find some different ships that are just best suited to this. So again, sort of hats off to Sniping Jet for working this one out and putting his video up. I'm going to include a link to that down in the video description, and please head on over to his channel, because it looks like he's just getting started, and I for one am very excited to see what he comes up with next. One thing that I would recommend if you're using this technique though is just to change some of your key bindings. By default, changing scans on a keyboard is comma and period. But if you go into the advanced controls, flight, radar, then you'll be able to change increase and decrease angles. So I've bound it to a key on my mouse, and then with left alt and the same mouse button decreasing the angle. Just means that you don't have to take your hands off the flight controls while you're doing it. And you can also use this technique to identify gem deposits. So when it comes to gems, when you do the second scan, you're going to return a blank. The blanks sometimes would mean that you've missed a rock, but if you're fairly close, sort of within 5 kilometers, and you get no return, then chances are that those are a rock or hand mineable. So we also got a few decent quality of life improvements and bug fixes in 3.17, starting with the mining HUDs. So in the Prospector, this is where it's most noticeable, as the contrast in the last patch made it really hard to see what you were doing. Not exactly the best thing when you're trying to crack rocks without blowing them up in your face. So the HUD in 3.17 is thankfully a big improvement on that, and now appears a lot crisper, a lot clearer. It's not perfect, so for instance I have noticed when you're mining at night, when you've got the ship lights on, it can become quite difficult to see in both the prospector and the mole. And what I would love to see is CIG put the ability for us to tweak the contrast on the displays so that we can fine-tune it for the location where we're mining. However, it's a massive improvement compared to what we had last patch. And even sort of planets and moons like Yella are now doable and manageable. Particularly useful though when you're trying the old Surge Stampede trick. I'm a bit rusty maybe, got this rock broken, but it took a little bit of red zone with it. Still made off with the full 32 SCU though. The mole also got an update, but quick note that some people have said the power on button's harder to find now. It is, but it's here. So I'm not quite so fond of the mole's HUD rework, but maybe that's mostly because I'm in constant denial about my need to get a pair of glasses. However, it's great to see on the mole that those consumable module slots over on the left hand side have got unjumbled, so you can really see what's in each slot. That was a bit of a nightmare trying to remember where my surges were and where my stampedes were. Sticking with the mole though, a big quality of life improvement comes from the correct labelling of turrets. This does remind me a little bit of the cockpit bug from 3.12. Sometimes CIG randomly mess something up for a patch, then we're all super happy and grateful when they put it back to a fixed state. Still, being able to identify your turrets really helps when it comes to equipping specific lasers and modules, and some of our sort of mining builds rely on you putting sort of a lancet alongside a helix, which is maybe more equipped for extraction, so being able to put those modules onto the right laser is really important. Just a quick recap for anybody who wants one. Laser 1 is the centre one under the bridge, laser 2 is the left hand side, and 3 is the right. The humble ROC also got a much needed bug fix, no more swarm of bees, which we're all very happy about. So in 3.16 there was a big issue with the rock's extraction mode, where the gems would sort of buzz around your laser while being sucked in very slowly, like one by one. Again, we're back to normal, and it's great because I do love a bit of rock mining. That said, the crisper HUDs on the prospector and the mole now make the rock one look a little bit dated to me personally, but let me know what you think in the comments. Another important bug fix for the rock comes with selling from the vehicle. So I did a quick test and left my rock in the back of the Cutty Black on the pad at the mining outpost, and sure enough we can now sort of automatically select the rock and get selling our gems straight from there. And finally for this episode, sort of a big improvement this patch is the ability to stick larger ship parts into other ships for transport. So I personally use my Cutty Black as my daily driver. It's now possible to load that up with mining lasers, QT drives, and other parts, as well as the modules and consumables we could put in there already. So I bought my 3 mole lasers and XL1, and that didn't even touch the sides of my Cutty Black, meaning that we can easily use our daily drivers to do the rounds and pick up parts for all of our ships. Really useful with the high-end kit now being spread out across locations, some of which, like Orison, you wouldn't want to fly a mining rig to and from. I know that you can claim and equip your ship, then claim it at your mining spot with those parts equipped, but this is a lot less tedious and a little bit less immersion breaking as well. Just while we're on the subject of inventory, if like me you're having to move hundreds of mining consumables from your home base to your mining location, just a neat little trick for making that process a bit smoother. If in your sort of vehicle, so I'm using a Cutlass Black to move my parts, you just select a filter like undersuit, something that you don't have. you'll be able to just drag and drop very quickly. If you leave it with unfiltering, then you're going to sort of constantly have the parts that you're putting in the ship getting in the way. So this just speeds things up a little bit. So that's it for the inaugural episode of Miner's Corner. I hope you found it useful, and that by covering off tweaks like this to the game, I can avoid sort of a full overhaul of the main mining guides I've put out, while still keeping the info overall fully up to date. If you did find it useful, consider dropping a like and hitting subscribe if you think I've earned it. And if you did want to take it a step further, I do have a Patreon, which I use to help fund improved quality in the channel. I don't really give a big enough shout out to my Patreon supporters because I feel a little bit weird about self-plugs. But they help me a huge amount, not only in terms of getting better gear to make better videos, but also as a soundboard to bounce ideas off. But please don't feel any pressure to contribute like that. Just being here and watching videos is more than enough. And the community as a whole is absolutely amazing, and it's shown me such a huge amount of support getting a small YouTube channel off the ground. So with that in mind, I'm trying to plough back some of the money that I get from ad revenues into you guys. So this month I'm giving away a MISC Expanse, the latest concept refinery ship. And if you'd like a chance to win, all you gotta do is just drop a comment down below and you'll be entered automatically. You can enter once per video that I release this month, that's May 2022, and we'll announce the winner at the end of May. So with all that said though, thanks very much for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you next time.